Hello and welcome. Today I'm trying out something completely new that I've never done before. Here I have a script written for me by my friend James, and I'm going to read it, and we're going to discuss about it in a new show that I've decided to cook up. I haven't come up with a name for it yet, so if anybody wants to come up with a name for this show, go ahead and put it down in the comments below. Good job, Nismo. Just pawn off creative responsibility to your viewers because you are creatively bankrupt. Great insight, Nismo. Great insight. Let's get on with it. Today's video is going to be about microtransactions. And it's written by my friend James, also known as Chip2Dip. He also has a YouTube channel, but he doesn't upload to it, and it's really hard to find right now because he hasn't uploaded it for so long. If I can find it, I'll put a link to it down below. If not, Chip2Dip wrote this, James, and he is a lovely individual, very creative, and I appreciate him very much. Back to the video. Let me paint you a picture. It's the early 90s, and everything's default color palette looks like something that came out of a dog or a baby. On either end, really. Triangles are all the rage, and stickers are literally currency for some people. You've been tossing newspapers for some extra coin. You save up all of your money and go hit up the arcade. All of your money from tossing papers to go down to the arcade? Kind of feel like if you've been doing a paper round and you maybe got $10 back in the day, $20, you would spend all of that $20 down at an arcade? I don't think I ever used arcade machines very often. And they were like a quarter a pop. So I'd go do like the, what was the Ferrari challenge one that they had? They usually had it at like pizza places and stuff like that. I'd put in a quarter and I'd just race around on that real quick. I didn't really do much of like fighting games or anything like that on arcade machines. I didn't see the point. Or story games, because I didn't want to be standing around in an arcade for 5 hours trying to finish a story game on an arcade machine. It seemed kind of silly. Racing was fine. What? Where was I? Oh, yeah. You've been tossing newspapers for some extra coin, and you save up all of your money to hit up the arcade at the end of the week. The bright neon lights, exciting colors, and patterns everywhere, and a floor so sticky that if you stand in it too long, you'll need to be cut away from the floor. It's a magical place. You enter and get a wave of excitement. Oh, what game do I play first? As your eyes dart around, intoxicated by everything that you see that they've added a new game. Double Dragon 3. The Rosette Stone. I never played this. Maybe it's because I grew up in England. And maybe this game wasn't like a big thing in England, but apparently, according to Chip, it was a thing in America. Moving on. You like to punch people, so it seems right up your alley. You walk over to the machine, giving up your shoes to the sticky carpet, and plop your first coin in. About 10 minutes in, and you've died a few times, but you're doing all right. You've finally beaten the first stage. But what's this? A mysterious salesperson.
Over here, stranger.
And I can buy power-ups?
Got something that might interest you.
There's a catch. This person doesn't want your digital currency that you've earned in the game. Oh no. They want your jangly money. The stuff in your pockets. It's only 1 coin, you say. So you pop it in, get some extra lives, some power-ups, and some new moves. Damn, for 1 coin? Are you telling me for 1 quarter you could get extra lives, power-ups, and new moves? I mean, that's pretty good value. You should be able to earn it through the game, but it's 1 quarter is pretty good value for all this crap. Anyway, it's now been an hour, and after many tries, you still haven't won. You still haven't beaten the game. You get to the shop once more, try to purchase an upgrade, but again, alas, you're out of jangly money. All of your paper round money is gone. Your time at the arcade is finished.
Snake, are you okay? Snake? Snake!
And you just got sucked into one of the many first video game microtransactions. It actually says here one of the very first microtransactions, but that's not true. Microtransactions have been around for a very long time. Just not, they weren't really in video games until like the arcade era. I digress.
What?
Oh, it says it right here. Good job, Nismo. You didn't read ahead and you're an actual idiot. Microtransactions have been around for a while, believe it or not. In many shapes and forms, much like the digital boogeyman who wants your wallet instead of your life. They prey on the exact mindset mentioned before. It's just 99 cents. What harm can it do?
Hey, little dude from across the street. Let me hold $1.
But despite this being an outwardly frowned upon practice for many, there are some that like or even love the idea of microtransactions.
Joke's on you, I'm into that shit!
Yes, we call those gamblers, Chip. We call those gambling addicts. Anyway. Or whales. It says whales.
I'm into that shit!
Same thing. With games in their declining state, unstable releases, next to no content, samey, grindy quests to pad out gameplay, really anything released by EA, allegedly, it's a harder time than ever to even justify purchasing one of these microtransactions, or MTXs. If the game was good, genuinely had you invested, you spent a lot of time playing it, and you wanted to have more fun with it, you used to have to purchase downloadable content. But now, it's become the opposite. If you want to enjoy the game, you need to pay for those microtransactions in many cases. Some people may argue that microtransactions help make up the cost of a game, because your standard AAA game title can cost somewhere in the tens of millions to develop, and it helps keep games the standard cost of $60 or now $70. $60, $70 price tag has been a staple for many years. But just because a game costs a lot to develop, it doesn't mean it's worth the money.
And Stan, join me for another day in our city of dreams.
And I have a note here. Adjusted for inflation, video games in the 1990s and 1980s were more expensive than they are today by far. And it's true. If you adjust for inflation, by the way. It could take you years to take a shit, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't flush it right away.
Silence, you fuddy fool! I've had it with your whining and bumbling.
The big debate is, if a game is already costing $60 or $70, it should not have content locked behind microtransactions. This causes a large number of issues for games. Why do that challenging dungeon when you could just buy the loot at the end? Why help that farmer meticulously pick every aphid off of their vintage corn crop when you could just buy the corn stallion from the in-game shop? Microtransactions can act as a way to cut around the very content the company is paying people to develop. This, however, is not always the case. Free games are the farmer's market of the video gaming world. There are a lot of them. You could have sworn you've seen them elsewhere, and they oddly smell of cheese. In this case, microtransactions are a double-edged sword. On one hand, you didn't pay for the game, so giving a few bucks to a game that you're having a good time with can be justified to support the developers. But, on the other hand, did it really cost the equivalent of $50 to put in a premium currency to the game? And my thoughts on this is, like, games nowadays, especially free games, actually primarily free-to-play games, they're not actually games. They're just a shop to buy non-existent things, and they put the little gaming stuff around it so that you don't feel as stupid for buying things that don't actually exist. Allegedly. Now, I know big fat cat corporations are not there for anything other than money, but some devs genuinely put a lot of heart and great ideas into games that they are excited for players to experience. Just to get cut, ruined, or rushed by investors in the company that wanted to release the game yesterday, instead of an intricate, challenging puzzle with fun mechanics, they just plop the reward behind a paywall and call it a day. This can lead to devs to not even try. I don't think that's the case. They all try. They're all getting paid for their job, you know. They try. It's just there's no, like, passion or love behind it anymore. I think that's what you're trying to say. Like, there's no baba ganoush to the game anymore because they're not building the game for the love of playing the game and for the love of solving the game or the mystery or whatever. They're building the game because they need to justify this dollar spend over in the in-game store. I don't think they don't try. I feel like microtransactions have caused them to kind of like lose that passion, that fire that the video games designers and developers used to have. I digress. Why put in all that work just to have it not fit into the expected release window and have all the work cut? Or maybe put it into expansions. Expansions don't bother me at all. Expansions usually, I mean, they're not an afterthought, but I feel like expansions are a good way to keep a game making money and keep people, keep developers and designers like interested in making the game and upkeeping the game that they've been tasked to keep up with. I like expansions. Expansions are good. Expansions are healthy. You see, the big difference between microtransactions and expansion is that expansions is like a spin-off. No, it's an expansion. It's an extension to the story. It's an extension to the game. What if you want to know more about that person who talks about their prized goat that fell down a well? Well, a good expansion would have you go into the well and have opened up a whole new world of new missions, new content, and more information on the story that perhaps could have had possible ramifications. It was a way to keep the title alive and maybe use content that would not quite fit into the base game. With the modern implication of microtransactions, however, this seems to be a dying practice. Why give the player a massive expansion when you could piece out a million ways to make a significantly larger profit? No, lots of games like World of Warcraft has microtransactions and they still offer expansions. I mean, obviously it's because, you know, they make money on top of money on top of money by doing that, but there are also free-to-play games that also offer microtransactions and expansions like Genshin Impact and stuff like that, on top of the microtransactions. And the expansions in those games are free. Like expansion or Genshin Impact, those are free. But still, I would rather pay for the game and the expansion than the nickel and diming that microtransactions do. And I'm sure a lot of people would as well. I'm sure a lot of people would rather just have a game that's fully made and developed as a good, interesting experience, and then add-ons to that cost money. Like, I think that's okay. And I feel like that makes for a better video game in the long run. I feel like microtransactions is just kind of like, they leave a bad taste in my mouth. I always know when I see a microtransaction shop that this game is not developed initially to be a game. It was microtransaction shop, and then they just added all this shit afterwards to give reason for the shop being there. Anyway, shit, where did I leave off? Found it. Games like Baldur's Gate, Elder Scrolls, or even Bioshock are great examples of what good expansions should look like, but would have been a much different experience if you needed to purchase all the individual items, weapons, and characters these game expansions offered. I mean, could you imagine if you had to pay just to access a certain character, and what if it wasn't even a guarantee that you would get that character that you wanted? That would be a ridiculous mechanic, and certainly glad it's not a thing. Yeah, me too. Is what I want to say. But there lies a dirty parasite that clings onto the underbelly of microtransactions, the gacha games, the skinner boxes. These types of games use essentially a loophole for legal gambling for a fixed percent of success. To get a certain character, skin, or weapon, and have been infused with the essence of one man's works that would still do influence... Wait, what am I reading here? Skin and weapon and have been infused with the essence of one man's works that would and still do influence modern games to this day. The Skinner box. God damn it. Read ahead, Nismo. You're an idiot.
So, as you can see, you are just over the line of mental retardation.
Don't you mean just under the line?
The day I'm corrected by a I'm sorry. Just please trust the analysis.
To explain it quickly, the player does X thing, reward with Y, after Z amount of times or attempts, to give the illusion of success or rewards. These games use devious methods like fear of missing out or FOMO to create fake demand by making items or characters limited time so you drop money in at an explosive rate for a fixed time just for a 0.001% higher chance to unlock the princess that has a slightly higher upskirt shot than the standard girl charm. Many gacha games will even show you the percentages that you're going up against to help you lie to yourself or rationalize that the odds are much better than they are. No, this is a law in some countries. Like in some countries, you have, if you're gonna have a Skinner box or a gacha style game, you have to have the odds in there because it's essentially gambling, and you have to know what are your percentage of getting said thing because it is a digital gambling practice, and the developer or publisher or whatever makes those odds, so they know those odds for sure, so they have to put them in there as a matter of law. This is all without touching upon the fact, like mentioned before, this is essentially gambling and can develop into a problem. It's not that it can, it will. It will develop into a problem. And this is being exposed to kids and teens at an alarmingly early age. These practices are the truly evil side of microtransactions, where you, the player, have significantly more to lose than to gain. Yeah, it's just like casinos, right? Casinos, everything is fixed towards the casino, right? Like, casinos wouldn't exist and they wouldn't be as prosperous as they are if they were just giving out money all the time. It's fixed so that, you know, okay, we can have somebody play this game X amount of times and put in this much money before we can give them this much reward for what they do, so that we actually make double what they get as a reward. Or the person before you as well counts towards that. That's why the claw grabber games, I don't know if you guys know this, I'm pretty sure it's like common knowledge now that those claws aren't capable of picking up things with weight to them when you first start playing. And as you put in money that goes past the price of a certain item, so say there's 3 tiers of item inside the claw machine, and the first one is 50 cents. Once you've put in 75 cents or $1, the claw will be able to pick up that weight of the thing. And once you put in... So if you go for that one, it'll pick it up. But if you go for the heavier one, it won't be able to pick it up because you haven't put enough money in. And then if you put in say $2, it'll pick up the next one and the next one and so on and so forth, and then reset back down to 0 once it's gotten enough money. So it essentially, if you're not going for the grand prize, they make way more money off of you in those claw machines than it would be to just go on eBay or Amazon and buy the stuffed plushie that you wanted in the first place. Anyway, so what is the fix? What is the fix for this? I don't think there is a fix besides legislation. How does one go about taking a favorite game franchise to the metaphorical mechanic to fix the rattling sound of all the money these games are scooping up with next to no benefit for the player through microtransactions? The sad part is that not much we could do. The greed is terminal and can't be operated on. But we can reduce it by really asking ourselves, do we really need that golden-plated armor pack? No, you do not. Or is worth putting more or any money into just to enjoy the core premise of it. If the demand is not there, there's no need to supply it. Basic economics. And that's that. And I'll offer my thoughts on the end there. We're not going to get rid of them. We're not going to get rid of them without legislation and laws that say that you can't actually do this. This kind of stuff, like the gacha and Skinner box stuff, has been going on for, I don't know, hundreds of years, probably. Or they've been going on since before Skinner figured out with the Skinner box what a Skinner box is. I mean, we saw it with Pokemon cards. We saw it with Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic the Gathering. You know, you open up that little pack. Oh, I hope I got the rare one. Whoop! And then you either got the rare one or you didn't. You didn't get the rare one? Well, another $2. Grab yourself another pack. I don't know how much they cost nowadays. I know they were like, when I grew up in England, so the I think they were like £1.50, maybe £2. I think they were £1.75, maybe. I don't know, for a pack of Pokemon cards, and then you would rifle through it and hope you got something good. Most of the time, you didn't really get much good, but there was always one card in there of particular rarity, and the rest of them were all kind of like, eh. And then you played the game with those cards and whatever. Why am I explaining Pokemon cards to YouTube like they don't know how Pokemon cards worked? I'm sorry. I don't. Sometimes I'm a little dim. Microtransactions aren't going anywhere unless there is legislation to basically tell these companies no, or there's a or they character what's the word? Think. Categoric. They put games into categories where this is a game that has microtransactions and it can only be purchased by these kinds of people, and this is the type of game that doesn't have microtransactions and can be purchased by these kinds of people. Like slot machines, right? There's digital slot machines. People do it on Twitch all the time. That's not considered a video game, right? But it's the same core premise of a video game. It's digital. It's made, you know, on a computer with game designers. It's got funky backgrounds and stuff like that looks appealing to people so that they keep playing. And, yeah, the odds are all made computer generated. So if we can put these games with these microtransactions into a different category to where people don't see them as video games anymore, because, spoiler alert, they're not actually games, they're microtransaction shops with stuff designed around them. If we could put them like kind of like that, where people are like, oh yeah, that's not really a game. It's kind of like what we do with mobile games now. Like, we see a mobile game, we're like, okay, that's a mobile game. I expect it to have this crap in it. If we could put all microtransaction games into that kind of category, then I feel like we'll be able to still get actual video games alongside this garbage that I don't give a crap if people play gacha games. I don't give a crap if people play Skitterbox style games. I don't give a crap if people mess around with microtransactions. I've been playing Genshin Impact for the past 4 days. 5 days? 4 days? My Twitch community asked me to play it, and I've just been playing it, alright? Don't judge me. Fuck! If we get legislation that says that they can't do this, or we categorize these games into places where they're more appropriate, I feel like we'll get more real video games in the future, like Elden Ring and stuff like that, where it's actually a game for game's sake. That's how we can fix this problem. I just went off on a tangent at the end of this, didn't I? But anyway, this has been my new show on YouTube. Doesn't have a name yet. Sign off down in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Go watch some of my other videos. The tier list is pretty good. It took me a long time to make, and it has criminally very low views, and I hate that. Have a lovely day and a pleasant tomorrow if I don't see you.